Hello, and welcome to Stitching Across the Smokies. I'm Tanya, and you have found me in my little stitching neck of the woods. Before we get started with today's video, I would like to thank all of my returning viewers, and for anyone who is just finding me, I hope that you see something that you like and enjoy, and if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do. All right, so today is January the 12th, Monday, and it is cold here in East Tennessee in the foothills of the Smokies. I've got some errands I got to run today since today is my off day. I am not looking forward to going out in the cold. I am not a cold weather person, but we will persevere and do what we need to do and then come home and hopefully get some stitching done. So I didn't film a regular update last Monday because I posted my whip parade I believe last Sunday. So today I am going to show you the projects that I have worked on for the last couple of weeks, and I believe there are 12. And there is a new start included in these 12 projects for my New Year's new start. I can tell talking today is going to be a chore, as usual, right? Anyway, all right. So I hope everybody had a wonderful New Year's. I hope your year has started off great. You've been able to do the things you enjoy, and hopefully the year ahead will be a good one, at least a good stitchy one, right? So let's start with my one strand a day projects. I believe last Monday and Tuesday were the last 2 days that I spent on Maggie the Mess Maker. Actually, it may have been Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, correct, because Wednesday was the 31st. So the first project I'm going to show is Maggie the Mess Maker, and this is a Dimensions Gold Collection kit. Artwork is by Charles Wazaki. I'm using everything in the kit, and the kit included 18 count Aida. And here's what it looked like last time you saw it. So this kit has full, half, and I'm not sure if it's got quarter stitches in it yet. If it does, I haven't come across them yet, but it definitely has plenty of half stitches. A lot of Dimensions kits do. Sorry, I'm just playing with the threads I need to trim off around this. So this is where I got to before it went away. So mostly this time when I worked on it in the month of December, I concentrated in this area and the windows. So those 3 days, week before last, week before last, I had to stop and think. I got in 180 stitches on this piece. And so now this piece has a total of 14,318 stitches. All right, moving on to my one strand a day for the month of January and February. We're bringing back out my Candy Cane Santa, and this is another Gold Kit collection. Dimensions Gold Collection kit. Anywho, this is my oldest whip, and this is based on artwork by Donna Race, and I am using everything that came in the kit, and it came with 16 counts Aida in the color Dove Gray. Here's what it looked like last time you saw it, which would have been November, the end of November. Now, I had talked about moving the frame, my Q-snap over so I could work on the other side and kind of bring it down even with where I was, and that is what I have done. So this is where I have gotten to so far, and so basically what I did is I finished working in this window pane here, excuse me, the wood around the window pane, filling that in, and then I've started on this corner. So over the last couple of weeks, I put in 267 stitches, and he now has a total of 26,346 stitches in him, and he's a 51% complete. And this is full 2/1 full cross and half cross, half stitch. Sorry. Again, words are hard. Let's move on to my Stitchopoly pieces. So over the last couple of weeks, I had played a new round of Stitchopoly, and I showed you in my previous video that one of the pieces for that round of Stitchopoly was Flora's Fauna. And so I had already gotten that done. So over the last couple of weeks, I worked on the other 3 pieces for this round, and I completed it. And then I wrote again last week, but last week I didn't end up working on any of the pieces. But we'll talk about a couple of those pieces when we get to my plans for this week. So the first piece that I worked on for Stitchopoly was Oscar. Here's what he will look like when he's completed. This is a photo of one of my cats that my daughter had made into a cross stitch pattern. And here's what he looked like last time you saw him. I am stitching him on 16 count Aida in white using DMC, 2/1 full cross. And here's where it has gotten to. So for this round of Monopoly, I only needed to put 50 stitches in on him. So I believe I continued working in the bottom of this diagonal, and I almost have this diagonal complete. And once I have that completed, I will go back up to the top. So I put in 50 stitches on him, and now he has a total of 2,490 stitches, and he is 7.38% complete. The next piece I worked on was London. This is a Haid. Artwork is by Cero Marchetti. I am not sure of the fabric. I believe it's 18 count. I'm not positive. I wasn't tracking those items when I started some of these older projects. But here's what it looked like last time you saw it. Of course, it's a Haid. I'm using all the Call for DMC 2/1 full cross. And so I needed to put 50 stitches in. And I got those 50 stitches in, continuing to work on this diagonal here. So now this piece has a total of 9,362 stitches in it. And it's currently 3.6% complete. And the third piece that I worked on for Stitchopoly within the last couple of weeks is not cross stitch, it is counted canvas, and it is a piece, hopefully you can see that, there we go. It is called Holiday Ribbons. And I don't remember who I saw working on this in a video a couple of years ago, and I thought it was gorgeous. And this is by Sampler Collection, and the design is by Laura J. Perrin. Here's what it looked like previously, or last time you saw it, which would have been Whip Parade maybe. Anywho, I'm stitching this on 18 count mono canvas in the color Santa Fe Sage Green. And here's where I got to. So I came up here and I needed to put 50 stitches in on it, and that is what I did. And this piece has now 1,430 stitches on it. So in the directions, it recommends doing these outline type areas before you fill in with all the little gift boxes, the trees, the wreaths, and the stockings. So that's what I'm doing. So once I get done filling in these, I may go ahead and do the border around the whole piece before I start filling in. This piece is looking good. All right, let's move on to weekly focus. So the first week, my weekly focus was opening gambit. This is a long dog sampler. Here's what it looked like previously. And I am stitching this on 14 count Aida in an off-white color, cream color. And as you know, long dog samplers are usually monochrome. Not all of them, but they usually are. And that leaves you able to, you know, make it your own, which pretty much really any pattern you can make it your own. You can change it up however you want to because it's your piece, your project. But on mine, I decided to do shades of purple. And this is DMC threads. And so I'm using 3 shades of purple. I'm using a light purple, a dark purple, and then a variegated. And I did not get many stitches in on this at all. This was right around the time that I got my new frame in from the Painting Fairy cross stitch store. Floor frame and scroll rods. And so I got really excited about that and wanted to work on 2 Dancing Peacocks, which is what I have on that frame. So I didn't get a lot done on this. I ended up putting in a whopping 24 stitches on this, and then I decided, nope, I don't want to work on this. I want to play with my scroll rods. So that's what I did. So now this piece has a total of 1,091 stitches in it, and it is currently 42% full cross. Excuse me, 42% complete. It's like when I get in front of the camera, well, in real life, my brain works so much faster than my mouth does, so I tend to stutter around sometimes, as you've seen, and it kind of makes it a lot worse when I get in front of a camera. Alrighty, moving on. Then my focus for last week was Her Majesty. This is a Haid. This is what it looked like previously. I'm using all the Cod 4 DMC 2/1 full cross, and I'm not sure what the fabric is. I believe it's 18 count Aida. And this time I worked on the diagonal. And I didn't work on her the 4 days like I normally do my weekly focus. Again, I decided I wanted to play with the project, or work on the project that was in the scroll frame. And so I put in 205 stitches in this one. And now it has a total of 9,355 stitches. And I'll go ahead and show you the whole thing here. Hopefully you can see that. And you can see the queen's hat, the top of her hat coming into view there in the middle. And this is 4.18% complete now. So next time I pick it back up, I'll probably finish out this diagonal. And then I'm not sure if I'll start the next diagonal or if I'll go across again doing the typewriter method again. All right, this brings us to the Hey Sal. So this piece, even though we've already got the exclusive, I still wanted to stitch this piece and see how it turns out. The piece I chose was Fairy Tale. And what I did was, in order to complete one full page, by the end of November, I figured it up and came up with needing to do 177 stitches every week. So what I've done is on Mondays, after I do my 1 strand a day piece, I'm putting in 177 stitches on this before I start with my normal weekly focus piece. So here's what it looked like previously. This is art, based on art by Dragon Muse. I am stitching it on 18 count Aida, color white, all DMC, 2/1 full cross, and over the last 2 weeks I put in 355 stitches. And I have noticed in the Facebook group that a lot of people are flying through these pieces, but I'm not monogamous. I get bored if I stitch on the same piece for too long. So I'm going to continue doing my 177 stitches a week. So now this piece has 948 stitches in it, and it is at 1.07% complete. All right. Now we're up to my New Year's New Start, and that piece is living in my Harry Potter project bag that my daughter made me. And this is the inside fabric. This is a Dimensions kit, Harry Potter. And this is being stitched on 14 count Ivory Aida. Oh my goodness. You guys, I'm telling you. All right, let me pull it out here. And so I started this piece on New Year's Day, and I started in the middle, but I wanted to work up to the top of Harry's head. So I started down here and worked my way up. And so here's where I've gotten to. So on New Year's, I put in 198 stitches. And of course, I'm using everything in the kit. 2/1. Back in the bag. Maybe. Maybe not. Then we come to the piece that's on my scroll frame. So that frame is that piece is a really wide piece, and that frame is just huge, and I haven't figured out how to be able to bring that in here and actually hold it up and show it to you guys yet. So basically what I think I'm going to do is I'm currently using this as my gridiron grind piece. I'm trying to finish up the pieces or the stitches I owe it, and once I do that, I'll be done with gridiron grind, at least for now. Maybe I may do it again this fall. We'll see when college football starts back up. But so I'm trying to complete those stitches that I was behind on it. So I will pop up a picture of what it will look like when it's finished. This is 2 dancing peacocks, by the way. Guess you would have liked to know that. And it is based on artwork by Oleg Gavrilov. And I'm stitching it on 18 count Aida in the color cream. All the called for DMC, 2/1 full cross. And here is the picture that I took of it in the frame, I believe, that I use for my whip parade. And moving forward, depending on where I'm stitching, that will be the little snapshot that I'm going to be showing you. So here's where it is now. So over the last couple of weeks, I have put in 920 stitches for a total of 19,381 stitches. That being said, I found an error I made. When I first started doing the typewriter method to try to get more progress for gridiron grind, or faster progress, let me say it that way. And by the way, typewriter method is something that Stitching Mommy come up with, and I really enjoy it. So anyway, back to the piece. When I started the typewriter method and going across, apparently I skipped a 10 by 10 section, which means I thought I was all the way to the edge, but actually I'm not. I missed a 10 by 10 in the middle. So that would have been a ton of stitches to frog. And I was like, I don't know. I was very upset when I found this, and I found it Saturday. And I ended up having to work Sunday. And so I knew I wanted to work on it again Sunday, and I was frustrated. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to scrap it and start over. I've already got in almost 20,000 stitches on it. And I sat there and pondered for a while. So what I decided to do is, I know that the square I missed is somewhere near the top. I'll pop back up the picture again. Over towards the left hand. I always do that. When I'm sitting in front of the camera, I cannot remember my right from my left. And that's why you see me pointing, because I'm trying to remember. It's the right hand side. Over towards the right hand side at the very top, where the sky starts meeting the trees again. Right in there is where I believe I missed. I don't believe, I know, I figured it out finally. Missed the 10 by 10 area. Luckily, I hadn't done 10 rows across, but as you can see in the previous pictures, I have done quite a bit past that point. So I don't know how it's going to look, and I won't know until I stitch on it more. But what I did is I went in and I adjusted in Pattern Keeper and marked off those stitches in those boxes that I had worked. It's not necessarily matching up to some of the colors, but it's trees. And so I'm hoping that when I get to that part and actually start stitching in the correct colors, there's not too big of a difference. We'll see. If there's too big of a difference, then I may have to frog those stitches out. I don't want to, but if it doesn't look completely obvious, then I'm probably going to leave it. I'm just going to fudge it. So, like I said, I went into Pattern Keeper and adjusted that, and we'll just go from there. I was very upset when I discovered that. So now my piece, I don't have as much progress on it according to Pattern Keeper because, you know, I had to frog a bunch of stitches. And what I've done is all those stitches that I moved in Pattern Keeper, instead of marking them complete, I marked them like I stay part to thread there. Part to thread. Part to thread, y'all. Part to thread there. And I'm hoping when I get to that point, I can kind of see what thread I'm currently using in that area and maybe, you know, adjust it some. We'll see. I really don't know for certain what I'm going to do. If you got any suggestions, let me know. Moving on. All right. Then on Sundays, I have two pieces that I do two strands on. And the first piece is going to be the Stephen King house. And this is by the Witchy Stitcher. Here's what it looked like previously. And I am stitching this on 32 count Lugana in the color Gray Magic by Stitch Me Fabrics. I'm using all the called for thread, floss, 2/2 full cross. And so over the last couple of weeks, here's where I got to. So I've started filling in the windows, and I can't remember exactly where I worked Sunday before last, I believe. I worked down in this area here, and yesterday I worked here. I'm really liking the way it's looking. And again, I'm doing the black. I'm doing the outline of the house, the bones of the house, if you will. I put in 199 stitches, and so now it has 1,635 stitches total. My other piece is, where's my picture? There it is a Halloween Bescorn You by Putini. And I am doing the one with the spools of thread. I have the top done, and I'm now working on the bottom. And I am stitching mine on 14 count Aida that I dyed myself. I'm sorry, I just shook you guys. Sorry about that. Here's what it looked like last time you saw it. I'm doing 2/1 full cross, and of course it's got a lot of back stitching in it for the spider webs. And here's where I've gotten to. So here's the second one that I worked on yesterday. I put in 175 stitches, and now it has a total of 1,513. So there's the top part. And then here's the bottom. So, that is all the pieces that I worked on. That's all 12 pieces. So now let's talk about plans for this week. Where's he at? So of course my one strand a day is going to be Candy Cane Santa. And I'm going to continue going across here, picking my stitches, the colors that I'm going to do. and working them down. So he'll come out. My weekly focus is going to be, it's kind of 2 pieces now, but the Haid Sow fairy tale. This is where I'll be starting from, and so I'll put another 177 stitches in on this today. And then this week's weekly focus is from my smalls category, and it is Seaside Tiny Town. And I believe I am using the DMC conversion that they provide. And this is where I'll be starting from. And so I'll just continue working. Let me grab the picture here again. I'm just going to continue working on this right here. Finish this. It's a big fish sign there on the top. And then I'll move over to the house next to it, the little pink house. Right. Stitchopoly pieces. So this round of Stitchopoly that I rolled, I believe it was last Monday. I've got several pieces that I have to work on for this round. So I'm not going to show them all to you today because there's no way I'm going to get them done. I didn't even work on them last Tuesday and Thursday. Because Thursday was my new start, and then Tuesday, I don't know why I didn't stitch on it. I was catching up. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember why. I might have been still amused with my scroll frame and working on that piece. But that's fine because that's more stitches towards that, and that's the whole point of the gridiron grind and using it. And some of the other things I'm doing is to get those stitches on it because it's my biggest piece. But anyway, 2 dancing peacocks is the piece I was referring to. So Stitchopoly. I landed gel. I believe my gel piece. I need to write this in my notes. I will try to remember to do that. No guarantees. My gel piece, I believe, is one of my 3 crochet projects that I have on the go. And I've got them on my list to rotate through Stitchopoly too, so they can get some progress, because I do enjoy crocheting, but I love cross stitch. So I want to crochet some, but I don't want it to take away a ton of time on my cross stitch. I don't know if this is just a me thing or if it's a thing that you guys have, but I have other things I would like to do, but I don't want to take away from our cross stitch. It's just like there's not enough time in the day. So, until I retire, this is the way I'm doing it. So, this is Florist Fauna, and I'll put up a picture here of what it'll look like when it's finished. And this is where I'll be starting from. So in my Stitchopoly plans, you know, most of my projects, the amount of stitches is determined by the property or roll of the dice or whatever. That doesn't work with crochet. So what I came up with on crochet was depending on the project. Like this one, you work in rows. And so what I decided was that in Stitchopoly, my goal is to complete a total of 10 rows, and then I will take it off and it will go at the bottom list and I'll replace it with something else. So each time that I land on it, I need to work on it at least an hour. And then, like I said, once I get 10 rows in, then I will remove it from Stitchopoly, put it back at the bottom list, and replace it with something else. So last week, I think, or last time this came out, I got in 3 full rows and I started on the 4th row. So I believe I have to work on this twice, which means it'll get another 2 hours like it did the week before, or the round before. So we'll see how many more rows I can get in to get close to my 10 row goal on this. So that's Flora's Fauna. And then the other piece I'm going to show you for Stitchopoly is Holiday Ribbons again, because this is, I believe, the piece I have assigned to my goal square right now. And so this piece will get more work on it. And then once I get these 2 done, and I work on Stitchopoly pieces Tuesdays and Thursdays. If I get both of these done, I'll move on to the next one in the list. But I'm not sure that I will get them done, so I was only going to show you 2 this week. So that I'm not telling you I'm going to work on more than, I possibly can. And I can't guarantee that I will get through these 2 pieces. It just depends on how my week goes. And of course, 2 dancing peacocks will be my stitching for Saturday. And it'll just be however many stitches I stitch. And then I will subtract it from the total that I owe this piece. And I believe currently, I didn't write it down, but I did look at it before I came in here. I believe I still owe 2,200 something stitches to 2 dancing peacocks for Gridiron Grind. Plus, I still owe 200 stitches to another piece from the bowl game that we lost for the Illinois team. And I have not decided what it will be yet. So I need to think about that. It'll be a while before I get to that, but I need to think about that so I can go ahead and show you guys that maybe next time. And then we get to the end of the week, we have my 2 strands on Sunday pieces, which is the Halloween Biscornu. So we'll see how much more I can get in on this. And last, but certainly not least, the other 2 strands on Sunday is my Stephen King house. And so I will probably, on Sunday, I will continue working in the middle there. I did make a 1, 2, 3 stitch order, and I ordered some fabric and I believe 3 patterns, because nothing can travel alone. So I did order those. I'm going to try to cut back on buying so many patterns this year. We'll see how that goes, because watching these videos, or when market happens, you see all this stuff is like eye candy. And even though I may not start it right away, I may not start it for a couple of years, I still want it in my stash so that when I'm ready to start it, I can. But definitely one of those pieces I'm going to be starting this month. And I didn't order fabric for it, and I should have, but I'll wait till it gets here and then I'll decide what fabric I want to put it on, because I don't think I have anything big enough. But it is Let Freedom Ring by Lala Studio. And I've loved this piece for a long time, and with this being the 250th year celebration for America, I don't really have any patriotic stitching pieces going other than, what was that piece I started? Oh, goodness, there was a piece I started right around Christmas that I don't even like. Oh, that wasn't patriotic. Never mind. I don't have a patriotic piece going. That was Penguin Pair I was thinking of. Sometimes I think I just need to go back to bed and then start all over. Anywho, when that piece comes, that Freedom Ring, I am going to decide what fabric I want, and if I have to order something, I'll order it. Hopefully it'll get here so I can start it before the end of January, but that is definitely a new start that I'm going to be doing in January. And then I've got to look at my list of other starts that I'm allowing myself if I want to actually start something, and kind of figure out when throughout the year I want to do that. I know some of them will be in May because I've enjoyed doing May Mania. So we'll talk about that in a future video. And with that, I believe that's all I have for you guys today. This video is about 40 minutes long already. So I'm going to cut it off here. And I'm going to wish you a wonderful week, stitching week ahead. And take some time for yourself. Sit down. Get some stitches in. And until next time, bye-bye.